Hey everybody, MsTRAUMATIC here. Welcome back to another video. If this is your first time ever checking me out, know that I'm all about helping people here. That means I spend tons of time working with some of the top content creators, some of the top people on the leaderboards, deep diving through the web, researching builds, testing things in the lab, and working to bring you the best of the best and the most meta when it comes to builds. This means bringing you builds that are most meta based on what's been out, what is out, and what's been announced to come out, as well as those unique niche builds that can really bring some life into the game on some descendants that are overlooked. That being said, today's video is all about the Deus Ex Manus, the Shadow, which are the two new swords, and I'm also including as a bonus the build guide for the restored Relic spam on Gley if you're trying to go through the new Void Vessel area, and how to build the last Dagger as well for the new Void Vessel area. Let's go ahead and dive in. Those of you that don't know much about me, I am an official Nexon content creator. So I stream on Twitch, X, Kick, and YouTube. My stream is usually on twitch.tv/MsTRAUMATIC, x.com/MsTRAUMATIC, or youtube.com/MsTRAUMATIC, or kick.com/MsTRAUMATIC. I usually have the most interactive stuff on twitch.tv/MsTRAUMATIC. So if you want to check me out on there, feel free to check it out. You can check out my videos on YouTube, and make sure if you like it, hit that follow and subscribe button for more content. All right, as you can see here, I'm on Gley. So let's dive into the Deus Ex Manus first. So on the Deus Ex Manus, it comes with a base crit rate of 50%. So when you build into this weapon, you only need to put one melee critical hit rate core and melee critical hit rate on the sub roll of the weapon in order to achieve pretty much maxed out critical hit rate for the weapon. So let's go ahead and cover this real quick. So for the Deus Ex Manus here, you can see I put on for the cores melee weapon attack, melee weapon chill attack, melee weapon critical hit rate once, and 2 melee weapon critical hit damages. Then for our base rolls, we went ahead and did melee weapon attack, melee weapon chill attack, melee weapon critical hit rate, and melee weapon critical hit damage. Now I recommend if you're rolling for the sub rolls that the first thing you go for is a high chill attack. Getting high chill attacks or elements on weapons is usually the most difficult thing to accomplish. So I usually go for the chill first, and then either the weapon attack or the damage if you're rolling the weapon with these stats. And when I say the damage, I mean the critical hit damage. Let's go ahead and dive into the modules. So on this weapon, you can see that we got the DPS in the module section here, up to 16 mil, 180,641. We built the sword into chill damage, critical hit rate, critical hit damage, and into melee attack. So this sword hits pretty hard. It still needs a buff in my opinion. You could do more, but it is pretty fun to use. If you're looking to go ahead and be able to break the bubbles a little bit faster, know that this will break the bubbles without Veil Analyzer, but if you do want to put Veil Analyzer on it, I would recommend to replace Exquisite Strike with Veil Analyzer. The reason that I have consecutive a chance on this sword, even though it has a low consecutive attack damage, is because it does have a decent consecutive attack chance already. And with the component set, the more times that you hit back to back, the more times you proc the special ability of the component set, which massively increases your damage. So I'll let y'all take a screenshot of that if you haven't yet. All right, let's go ahead and get into the shadow next. So for the shadow, it's a toxic based weapon and it has a very high consecutive attack damage, but it has only a 5% critical hit rate. So what we did is we built into consecutive attack chance, toxic, and consecutive attack damage. So for the cores here, we went with melee weapon attack, melee weapon toxic attack, 2 consecutive attack damages, and 1 consecutive attack chance. For your sub rolls, I went with consecutive attack chance, melee weapon toxic attack, consecutive attack damage, and melee weapon attack. Again, I recommend you roll for a high toxic roll first, and then go for your melee weapon attack as high as you can get it, and then go for damage and then chance for your consecutives. Let's go ahead into the modules here. This is with Veil Analyzer on. We did go ahead and build this into toxic damage, attack speed, attack range, consecutive attack chance, and consecutive attack damage. So this came out to 4 mil, 629,193 DPS, which is pretty good. I also built an extra copy of each sword that I'm building for Colossi, and I'll go over that in the next video, how that worked out. And for that, I'll show you the build that I did. I changed things just a little bit on this. So I went ahead and I did better insight and a better concentration on this to add a little bit more crit damage, because you don't need as much range when you're fighting a Colossi if you're going to be right up on it, swinging at it. So I went ahead and did that just to get a little bit more damage. I'm going to keep basically the same rolls on it. I'll show you the other sword that I made. I need to get the cores up a little bit still. But so far we've got bonus weapon to Colossus. Bonus weapon attack versus Colossus. Melee weapon toxic attack. 2 consecutive attack damages. 1 consecutive attack chance. Then we have melee weapon attack versus Colossus, melee weapon toxic attack, and consecutive attack damage. I recommend that when you're rolling for this one, that you go for the Colossus and the toxic attack first at high numbers, then get your melee weapon attack at max if you can, and go for consecutive attack damage last. For the components here, what we're running is we're running the Manus set. This gives you the extra ability for the melee attack. For Gley here, since Gley doesn't use mana, we went ahead and ran resistances. So for the auxiliary power, we're running for our base rolls, fire resistance and max HP, and then we cored max HP and fire resistance. I recommend that if you have the cores to do it, that you try to get a 37 point with a number after the point, the decimal point, for your percentages, because you'll actually see a benefit of it on Gley. On the sensor, I got sub-rolls chill resistance and HP recovery modifier, because HP recovery modifier is great on Gley. And then we cored max HP and chill resistance. On the memory, we went ahead and got the sub-rolls electric resistance and defense, and then we cored max HP and electric resistance. For the sensor, we went ahead and got the sub-rolls toxin resistance and equipment drop rate increase modifier. Gley doesn't use shields, so the equipment drop rate modifier is great because you get more equipment. We cored max HP and toxin resistance on this. Now let's go over what the component set actually does. So the 2 set's going to give you melee weapon attack plus 6%. And then if we read the rest here, Knight's Willpower, which is 1 stack per 1 second, and 2 stacks per melee weapon normal attack on the target, up to 10 stacks. What it does is it changes your melee attack range, and it increases it once you hit the 10 stacks to increase it by 10%. And it deals an additional damage equal to 22.7% of your melee weapon attack. So that's pretty nice. Definitely worth using if you're only using the swords. For the reactor on this, I'm using skill cooldown and skill duration up. Then for our arcade tuning, I built into multi-hit chance because it counts for consecutive attack chance when you're going on the sword for the consecutive attack. And we built into firearm here, which is also a melee weapon attack. As you can see here from the arcade tuning, we went ahead and got weak point, which is a little bit more piercing rate. And then we went ahead and got as much HP and recovery modifier as we could, as much defense, as much resistance, and came through here to the max HP. It makes a big difference in your survivability. Let's go ahead and go to the inversion here. For running the sword build, what you want to do is you want to be running selective cellular stimulation, deploy hardened shell, and if you're doing the new void vessel, you want to run toxic focus rounds. If you're doing purge 10, you'd run chill focus rounds. It's just whatever element that mobs are weak to. Then from there, if we look at the modules on Gley. So for Gley, for the sword build, what we did is we're running HP collector so that when we defeat an enemy, we instantly recover 9% of our HP, our max HP. We're running auto immunity for the incoming damage modifier minus 10.5% with the bonus of HP recovery plus 7.4%, which also helps us get more back from HP collector. And then we're running an outstanding investment, which gives us a little bit less skill duration than what our other duration cards are going to be, obviously. But the bonus is that it comes with an HP heal bonus of plus 7.4%, which also gives us more benefit with the HP collector. Then we're running shield conversion defense because Gley doesn't have any shields, so there's no negative to this. And this is the highest defense percentage card you can get to put on Gley. We're running stim accelerant because Gley doesn't have any MPs. The MP reduction doesn't affect her at all. And this is the highest HP card you can put on in the game. Predator Instinct for our Transcendent card, so that as we swing over time, we get more melee attack. Then we're running MP Conversion and Nimble Fingers for our skill cooldown, as well as Focus on Dimension, which helps us get a little bit more damage off of our life siphon, which is our 2, and Focus on Non-Attribute, which also gives us a little bit more non-attribute damage. We're running mid-air maneuvering so we can grapple in the air. And then for our arcade trigger mod, I went with particle conversion emitter because if you're only using the swords, none of the cards are going to give you more damage with the swords, but the particle conversion emitter will give you more damage with your life siphon, and it does kind of continual damage if you hit the mobs with it while you're trying to get some of your HP back. So that's the build for the Shadow, the Deus Ex, and the Sword Slaying build here. Let's go ahead, and as you can see here too, I'm rocking 42,575.544 defense with 31,372.838 HP on Gley for this build. Let's go ahead and swap over to our other build that I told you I'd include as a bonus. So for this build on Gley, what we're running is a 2-piece Firebrand set for the skill duration, which is an extra 6.5%, which is awesome. Plus, on here, we get the highest HP roll here. We lose a little bit of tankiness because this is a max shield here, but we gain the skill duration, which is huge. So on here, we're running our sub-rolls of max HP and fire resistance, and we cord max HP and fire resistance on here. For the sensor, it's also Firebrand, and we have the sub-rolls of chill resistance and HP recovery modifier, and we cord max HP and chill resistance on this. For the memory and the processor, we went with the 2-piece shell crusher for the increased fire rate of 5%. For the memory, we're running the sub-rolls of defense and electric resistance, and we cord max HP and electric resistance. On all these HP cores, it's really important that you try to go for a 37 with something with a sort of a decimal and a number afterwards, because Gley massively benefits from as much HP as possible. On the processor, we did equipment drop rate increase modifier and max shield, Now, Gley doesn't benefit from shields, but I also use this processor on my Serena, and Serena does benefit from shield. So I have this on there for the sub rolls. But the equipment drop rate increase modifier is great for Gley. If you wanted to do a Gley specific one, you could do equipment drop rate increase modifier with toxin resistance. For the cores, we did max HP and defense. For the reactor, we're still running the same thing, the materialized phase reactor with skill cooldown and skill duration up. For our restored relic, what we're running here is we have 3 fire rates of 20%, 2 high fire attacks, and then we're running this multi-hit build for our sub rolls. So we have multi-hit damage, multi-hit chance, explosive attack, and fire attack. For our modules in here, as you can see, this brought us to a DPS of 3,141,053. We're running Veil Analyzer, because Veil Analyzer allows us to, in the new Void Vessel area, pop the blue shielded enemies. If you're not running this in an area with the blue shielded enemies and you're just trying to like mob elsewhere with no blue shields, I would recommend that you switch it out for multi-bullet. Multi-bullet inflicts deep wounds and it'll give you more damage. But in the new area, the Void Vessel area, if you don't have Veil Analyzer on, you're going to be seeing a lot of immunes and be unable to pop the bubbles. So I highly recommend Veil Analyzer as a mod in here. We did Fire Conductor, Fire Priority, and Fire Enhancement. While the mobs are weakest to Toxic, they are second weakest to Fire. And because this weapon is base scaling into Fire and has Fire built into it, you actually end up getting the most damage from building to Fire. I built a second one that was based on Toxic and fully went into it with maxed out stats, and it did less damage than this one. So from experience and testing, building it to Fire actually does more damage to them. All right, so for the last dagger, let's pull out the toxic last dagger so I can show y'all. You don't have to use the last dagger on the final boss. Some people prefer it. I prefer using the rocket launcher because the boss is teleporting everywhere and the rockets lock on. But the last dagger will do pretty good damage if you can keep headshotting it. So for our rolls on this, for the cores, we went ahead and did toxic attack, 2 fire rates, 2 firearm attacks, and then we did, for the sub rolls, weak point damage, firearm critical hit rate, firearm critical hit damage, and firearm attack. For our modules here, we have mental focus, and the way that mental focus works with this with Gley is you don't want to reload the weapon at all. So you start firing ahead of time so you can get it up to the whole 150 stacks of firearm attack, and then you keep popping your 3 while your 1 is active, so that way you can keep it firing at 150 stacks of firearm attack, which is very important and does crucial amounts of damage on Gley. For the inversion on this, for this version of the inversion, if you're doing the vessel, you would run toxic focus rounds, strike point amplification, and firearm control mechanism. Strike point amplification is great because you get extra weak point damage when multi-hitting, and you can multi-hit with both the restored relic and the last dagger. Toxic focus round is going to give you extra toxic attack. Plus, it allows you to do the enhanced focus rounds thing, which is when you hit the enemies with up to 5 stacks, you reduce their resistances by 20% to all elements. Then we're using the firearm control mechanism for the multi-hit chance and the multi-hit damage. For the arc tuning, we built into multi-hit chance, multi-hit damage, accuracy. We built into affinity advantage. And then we went into firearm critical hit damage, as well as weak point and firearm attack. This does a lot of damage. I've sometimes done like 4 billion damage in the new vessel area. Those of you that want a good build for the exterminator for Axion planes, since I already have this up, here's the cores and the build for it. It's 3 fire rates at 20%, 2 fire attacks, explosive attack for your sub roll with fire attack, firearm critical hit damage, and weak point damage. For your modules on that, you'd be running action and reaction, and the following here. When you want to use it to take down the ships, make sure you aim in it and that it locks on red, and you should be able to take them down in a couple of rockets with this build using Gley. And that covers the build guide. As you can see, this one leaves me with 30,465.138 HP and 42,218.432 defense. All right, y'all. Thank y'all for watching. I hope to see y'all next time on the next video, and I hope y'all enjoy your day or night, whatever time it is. Make sure you hit that follow button if you like the content and want to see more content, and hit that like button if the video helped you or if you like the content. And I hope to see y'all next time. Good luck, y'all, and I hope y'all have fun on the first Descendant. Official content creator, MsTRAUMATIC, out. Yeah, but I also use this processor. If you're looking for Gley specific roles, you could use equipment drop rate increase modifier with toxin resistance instead. Let's go ahead and get into the module build for this. So the module build for this, we're using stim accelerant because Gley doesn't have any MP, so there's no MP loss. You can see it gives us the most HP, possible out of any of the cards, 234%, which is huge. Predator Instinct to increase our firearm attack over time. Then we have over here sensory depth. Incoming damage modifier, minus 13.5%, makes you super tanky. No MP loss because you don't use MP. We have our duration cards as usual and our cooldown cards. We're using Kuiper hollow points for increased damage on our rockets that we're spamming and on our last dagger. For our arcade tuning for this, we built into multi-hit damage, weak point damage, affinity modifier, and firearm attack and critical hit damage, as well as multi-hit chance. For the build on the restored relic here, we have 3 fire rates at 20%, 2 fire attacks. For the sub rolls for the restored relic, it's multi-hit damage, multi-hit chance, explosive attack, and fire attack. For the weapon itself, you can see we're at 3 mil, 141,053 DPS. We're using Veil Analyzer when we're doing the new Void Vessels to pop the blue bubbles that are like the blue shields on things. They're called Arcade Shields, and Veil Analyzer pops them so that way you don't have to sit there and hit C immunes. If you were to use this in something that doesn't have the blue bubbles and you want more damage, you can exchange Veil Analyzer with multi-bullet. But again, when you're doing the new area, make sure you have Veil Analyzer on, otherwise you're just going to see a ton of immunes. For the last dagger, we built it into Toxic, 2 firearm attacks, 2 fire rates, weak point damage, firearm critical hit rate, firearm critical hit damage, and firearm attack. For our mods, we have mental focus here. With Gley, you don't want to let this weapon reload. You want to keep spraying it even if you're not hitting the target, and keep popping your 3 before it can reload while your 1 is active. That way you keep the 150% firearm attack up. And as you can see, this build gives me 42,218.432 defense and 30,465.138 HP. For our inversion on this, you want to be running strike point amplification. If we're doing the new vessel, we're running toxic focus rounds. If you're doing purge, you're running chill focus rounds if it's purge 10. And then we're running firearm control mechanism. The thing that's nice about strike point amplification is when you're hitting multi-hits on the weak point, you get increased weak point damage up to 3 stacks, so that's an extra 27% weak point damage. And the firearm control mechanism gives us extra fire multi-hit damage and firearm multi-hit chance, which is awesome. The nice thing about the focus rounds, you get extra element attack. So you get up to over 20% extra element attack. And when you're hitting the enemies, once you get them up to 5 stacks, it reduces all their attribute resistances by 20%. And that's huge. And that's for everybody hitting it. All right. And the last thing is that we're using the, let's look at fellows here, the Hagios Sheepdog, because the Hagios Sheepdog gives you HP back over time, and that is huge with Gley. If you want to build as well for the Exterminator, since we're already here for taking down the ships in Axion, if you use Gley there, the best build I've found so far is 3 fire rates, 2 fire attacks, explosive attack for your sub-roll with fire attack, firearm critical hit damage, weak point damage, and then if we go into the modules here, you're going to make sure you have 1 increased radius, and then the rest of these modules here, if you aim in and let it target the ship that's flying and so that it locks on with red, it should be able to take it down in a couple missiles. Super quick way to annihilate ships. And again, it's a skill cooldown, skill duration up reactor. And that sums it up. All right, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Thanks for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you hopefully on my next stream, MsTRAUMATIC.live if you're trying to follow me on my homepage. If you're trying to follow me on my stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/MsTRAUMATIC, or YouTube, youtube.com/MsTRAUMATIC. We're on X at x.com/MsTRAUMATIC, and Kick at kick.com/MsTRAUMATIC. Make sure to check us out. If you like the content, please hit that like button, smash the way there. Feel free to leave a comment. And if you want to see more content, make sure to subscribe. I hope to see y'all in my next stream and in the next video. Thank y'all for your time and watching. I hope y'all have a wonderful day or night, whatever time it is for y'all. And I look forward to seeing y'all next time. Official content creator for Nexon and the First Ascendant, MsTRAUMATIC out. Peace, y'all.